Hello, my name is Professor John Benjamin, and today I'm going to introduce you to Bootstrap templates. First thing we want to do is go to Google, and you want to Google free Bootstrap templates, or you can just go to startbootstrap.com. And once you're here, notice there's lots of themes, browse all themes, and you can choose from any of these wonderful templates to build your website from. But today we're going to go to templates and say browse all templates. We're going to look for this one called Modern Business. So go ahead and click on that. Then you can just go ahead and click on the free download. All right, once you've downloaded it, we're going to need to move it into your website folder. So it's important to be able to find that folder. So here it is in my downloads, but I'm going to need to move that to the proper folder. So in my case, it's in Documents, WVWC, and Web Design class. And I've created a folder called Bootstrap Site. And that's where I'm going to want to put it. If you're not certain if it's the right folder, what you can do is go to Dreamweaver and go to your files, and then look for the path. And that should take you to the location of where you're keeping your files. All right, so you can see here Bootstrap Site is the same as the folder that I have here, Bootstrap Site. So now all I'm going to do is move that folder over. Before we do that, though, we'll have to unzip it. So if you're on a Mac, to unzip, you can just double click. On a PC, you can just right click and say Extract All. All right, now we should just have a folder. I'm going to open that folder because it's sort of like a duplicate folder within a folder. So then I'm going to take this Start Bootstrap Modern Business GH, and I'm just going to drag it into my site folder. All right, and then if we go to Dreamweaver, and I go to my files, and then I come down here and I hit refresh, you can see that that folder is in there now. All right, so let's open up that folder, and let's navigate to the index, and just simply double-click to open it. And then here we have it. Now you can see up here, there's already the styles.css style sheet that comes with it. But as best practice, we're going to go ahead and create our own. So let's do that first. So I'm going to come over here to my designer, and I'm going to come here to sources, and I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to hit the plus sign, create new CSS. I'm going to browse to make sure I'm putting it in the right folder. Now in this case, I want it to be in the CSS folder for the Modern Bootstrap site. So if I navigate here, there's my folder, there's the Start Modern Business. We open that, we have a CSS, and there's the style sheet it came with. And I'm just going to add my own, just going to give it my name, .css, and hit save. All right, and then hit OK. All right, now we've got our own style sheet that will override the style sheet that came with the Modern Bootstrap template. All right, so let's start making some changes to this template so we can adapt it to our own style. First and foremost, let's try to change the typeface. So I can go and click in here to find a specific typeface that I want to change. But let's say we want to change it for the entire site. In order to do that for any site, we'll come up here to the body. If we click in the body, and then we come over to our designer, make sure our style sheet is selected, then we click a new selector, and hit return. Then I go to text. And here I'm going to change the font family. And I'm going to change it to something so you can see the change very obviously. If I click on there, I'm going to come down to impact. And then you can see that the entire site, the body text and the headers are all changed to impact. Now impact is not a very readable typeface, so I am going to undo that. All right, but let's say I did have a different typeface that wasn't part of the group that they've given me to select. Let's go to make sure we have our selector selected. Go back to text and font family. And I can come down here to manage fonts. And I can import fonts and get them from different sources here. In this case, I'm going to go to custom font stacks and look for one that I have here that might be suitable. Let's just choose something basic like Arial. Add that there and hit done. All right, then I have to go back to my text here in the font family, and Arial should now be there. So if I select that, and now all the typefaces on all the site are Arial. All right, but now let's say I want all my body text to be Arial, but some of my headers I want to have a certain style, like for instance this one. So if I click in here and I look down on my code, I can see that this is an H1 class header. All right, so I'm going to go to my CSS designer and I'm going to create a new selector. But in this time, I'm just going to delete all that. I'm just going to hit H1. All right, and that's all I'm going to call it. It's just an H1 header. All right, and with that selected, I'm going to go up to my text tab, change the font family to something a little more unique. Let's say here I'm going to choose, well, I'll choose Impact. All right, so now you can see only the H1 headers are going to be Impact, and then the rest of the text will stay, in this case, Arial. All right, so now let's go and do some changes that are a little more advanced, let's say, and like changing the color of this button. All right, so I'm going to click on this button so I can find it in my code. Here it is. And it is the button primary is the code. And so what I'm going to do here is something a little different. I'm going to put my cursor here on button primary. I'm going to hit Control E. It's Command E on a Mac. And here is the style, the code for the style in the styles.css style sheets. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply copy that style. Control C or Command C. I'm going to go to my style sheet here. And then I'm just going to simply paste that right in there. All right, now I haven't changed anything because I just copied and pasted the code into my style sheet. But what I want to do is I want to change these colors. So I can hand key these. Let's say if I know the color, like 003366, and that's a blue, I can type that right in. Or at this point, I can go ahead and pick a color. I'm going to choose like an orange. That's FFB600, and just hit return. I'm going to want the border to be the same, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and paste it there. All right, now let's take a look up here. All right, I'm going to hit View, refresh live view. All right, cool, and there it is. It's orange. But now notice if I roll over it, the background's still blue. So I need to get the hover. All right, so let's go back and get the hover. I'm going to go back to my source code, and this is still open here. And if I look over here, you can see that here's the button primary, here's the button primary hover. So I'm going to click on that, and then that'll give me the code for the hover. So I'm just going to copy that code, go back to John Benjamin. I'm going to paste it at the bottom. I'm going to give one more space there. All right, and here are those colors. So I want to get a darker color, so I'm going to delete this up to the pound sign. And if you just type in like 00, eventually you'll get the color picker. So I'm just going to pick a darker orange, like so. You can hit return. And again, I want the border to be the same. So I'm going to copy that and paste that there. All right, and if that doesn't change right away, mine did. You can always hit View, refresh live view. All right, and that's how we change the color of a button. Let's say we want to change an image. So let's say I want to add an image here. Now this template's really nice, and it tells me already what the dimensions that I need to have. You can't just grab any image. The image to put in this spot has to be 600 by 400 pixels. So I'm going to click on here, and then I'm going to go to my source code. I'm going to close this up. All right, and then it's going to take me right to that image. And here it is. There's the link or the path to that image. And if I hover over that, it'll also tell me the dimensions of that image. You can see here at the bottom of that square, it says 600 by 400 pixels. All right, so I'm going to need to get an image. So let's go ahead and go to Pexels to do that. So I'm going to go to pexels.com. I'm going to find a photo. Yeah, these strawberries look good. Let's go ahead and download that. right, then I have to go to Photoshop because I need to make it specifically what dimension? Let's double check. 600 by 400. All right, let's open that up. And what I'm going to do is up here, I'm going to first hit C to crop, bring up your crop tool. That's right there. And then you're going to type in 600, in this case 350. I want 400. All right. And then you can crop it any way you like. It's going to always crop it to what you told it, 600 by 400 pixels. I'm just going to hit return. All right, and then I'm going to export that for web. So File, Export, Export As. I'd like a JPEG in good condition, and that looks great. And just export that. And give it a new name, such as small, so I can tell it from the original. All right, then I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and here, where that image pathway is, I'm going to delete that path. Hit spacebar to browse. And I'm going to look where I saved that. In this case, I saved it in my downloads. Hit OK. And then it's going to ask me, do I want to put it in an appropriate folder for my website? And the answer is always yes. Otherwise, it won't upload to the server. So we'll say yes. And then we've got to choose that folder. Now, the Bootstrap template, Modern Business, has what's called an assets folder. And I'm just going to go ahead and drop it right in there. All right, and there you have it. So now we've got a nice image on there, we've got a different typeface, and we've changed the color. Let's do one last change. Let's change the color of the footer. All right, so let's click on that footer to navigate easily in our code to where it is. Here's the footer. And it is, if we go to the top of the selector, it's big dark is the color code that's going to be, that we're going to change. So I'm going to put my cursor in big dark there and hit Control-E, Command-E on a Mac. And here's the code. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to go into my CSS, hit return and paste. All right, now what I can do, if I don't want to type in the code here, I can easily go back to my designer, and you can see in John Benjamin that big dark is shown up there. And so that might be a little easier if I go to the background, and I can see here's the background color. I can just click on that now, and I can choose, let's say, an orange color, and then just hit return. And if I scroll down, there you have it, and I've changed the color of the footer. Oh yeah, big dark is the entire style for everything, so I've changed the header as well, which is what I would want to do to maintain my my look and feel. All right, and that's how it's done. Now, when you're finally ready to upload this to the server, just a quick refresher, we're going to go back to Files. And then you can simply click on the Start Modern Bootstrap folder and then hit Put. Because we're going to need all of those files all together. So we're going to put them all up there. I'm going to say yes. All right, and then I'm going to go and make sure that that is all up on the server. I'm going to go to my site. And if you do get this, then you just simply hit Details and then Visit Unsafe Site. And here I'm going to hit Refresh. Oh, and you have to have the complete URL. So unfortunately, there's an extra folder now. So and I've got to copy the name of that folder. So if I go back to Dreamweaver and Files, you can see that this folder right here is part of my path. So I'm going to have to go ahead and copy that by right-clicking on it. And then I come up to my website. Here it is, and it's in 2 folders. So I put that in there. And so you can see here's my URL, my top URL, and then it's in the Bootstrap site folder on my computer, and then it's in the Start Bootstrap Modern /index. And so now if I hit return, I have the whole site up there. So I have all the correct pathways. All right, and that's how it's done. Good luck.